think the Raiders are still sour from the Super Bowl loss years ago to the Buccaneers? I think they're a little bit sour still because they really haven't done anything since that, and it's disappointing. I wonder if they still feel that. But don't worry, they're no longer in Oakland. They're in Viva Las Vegas, where there are Elvis impersonators everywhere. And the great thing about it is that, one, stadium looks incredibly fresh, but the Raiders look good. I'm actually happy for the Raiders and not just like, oh, that's the Raiders. Ew, gross. And the Raiders have a brand new look. They finally commit to a new head coach that I was thinking they're gonna not do it. They're not gonna do it. They did it. Oh, they did. They kept Pierce. All that and more in excitement. As everybody, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic, and we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. Raider Nation, welcome to the Las Vegas Black Hole, which sounds like a strip club in Las Vegas. So, the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that got Jimmy Garoppolo. We were thinking that maybe they were going to be mediocre at best. The Josh McDaniel got another head coaching job. He's gone. Antonio Pierce comes in. I remember him from the Giants days. He got the internship and he went 5-4. The Raiders went potentially going to probably a top 5 pick, ending up with a record of 8-9. Even though I usually had them at 6-11, which they're probably heading closer that way before the head coach change. They committed to a rookie quarterback out of Purdue, and they infused defense to their ranks, and they made a statement. They made stride, and now the Raiders still probably not going to go to the playoffs next year. They're in a much tougher division, but I feel like the Raiders are the few teams in the AFC West that has been more consistent in beating the Chiefs. They're the only team that, good or bad, they've been able to beat the Chiefs probably more than Denver and more than the Chargers. Probably combined between 4 matchups and 2 different teams, the Raiders had more success. And it's funny to say that out loud, thinking the Raiders are more successful against Mahomes than probably anyone else out there in the league. Think about that, yeah. Yeah. And nothing's more apparent than talking about their best game. Las Vegas' best game is a sentimental moment for me. Week 16 at Kansas City. Now, some of you might be thinking, really? That game has sentimental value? Well, it was Christmas time. And I went to visit my family. And one of the family members that I was with was a Swiftie. They were watching the Chiefs and Raiders game, and they were the perfect, like, I heard of the Swifties. I heard of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I heard that the whole season, and funny enough, I'm not hearing anything about it anymore, even though it's still happening. But she was the perfect example of, I don't know about football, but I know Travis Kelce, and that's it. Like, she didn't know anything about football. She wasn't as enthralled. Heck, she barely knew who Mahomes was, just knew that he was the quarterback. And she was there just watching the game, and I made fun of her the entire game because, granted, I thought the Chiefs were going to beat up on the Raiders, and it just been a Merry Christmas. So I made a drinking game, kind of, where it's like every time they show Taylor Swift on screen, you take a shot of eggnog, and so on and so forth. And it was a fun game. But then I started adding some, embarrassing puns, like I will say things like, I don't think the Chiefs will never, ever, ever get a touchdown, like, ever again. I told them that when the Chiefs made a mistake, maybe they just need to shake it off. And then when Mahomes made 2 back-to-back turnovers, I was like, look what you made me do. It was a fun time. But then as the game went on, I was thinking, okay, fun and game's over. The Chiefs will come back and win this game. And it never happened. And it just made the rest of my evening fantastic. Not so much the Swifty, but just because Mahomes and the Chiefs will not have a Merry Christmas. And yes, they did win on to win the Super Bowl. So yes, they do get the last laugh. But for my Christmas, at least I can say, I guess the Raiders offer some good old-fashioned coal in their stocking. Plus, the game was in Kansas City. So Merry Christmas, Arrowhead. Ha ha! And those that have watched the game, because no one else are probably doing Christmas, you're probably aware that the Raiders did not throw a single pass in the second half, and they still won. And that the Raiders' touchdowns were defensive touchdowns. Was the Nicholas fumble and the Jack Jones pick six. That was it. And they managed to win with defense. I can't remember the last time I saw a game where all the points scored or all the touchdowns by a team that actually won the game were done. No, wait, I remember one. I remember one. It was Eagles Bucks. Rondé Barber got 2 pick six on Donovan McNabb, and the Bucks kicked a 62-yard field goal to win it. I remember that game. But anyway, so I guess I was actually witnessed it firsthand. That's the last time I remember. I could be wrong. That was years ago. But that's something that I never seen before. And I always feel like, as a defensive-minded person, I'm thinking, I like that feeling. It's like, say, we are so good that we won with one side of the ball, and it was the defense. And it was Mahomes, the great Mahomes, the praised Mahomes, the savior of Kansas City. 2 turnovers leading to 14 points, ultimately unable to overcome it against a Raider team that he probably beats left and right most time than not. That's why I said the Raiders are the one team that managed somehow to find a way to beat the Chiefs. I don't know how. The Raiders of all teams seem to have the most success. Like, if we compare to Denver, Chargers, and Raiders, my money will be on the Raiders have more opportunities in a game to beat the Chiefs, even though there are some games where the Chiefs put on 40 points and give up, like, basically 10 to it, and I've seen that too. But games like this, the Raiders beat the Chiefs. And the thing is that with interim head coach, rookie quarterback who wasn't considered a top 20 pick, he was a late round pick from Purdue, not really screaming quarterback powerhouse, even though Drew Brees came from Purdue. So say what you want to say about that. And they still managed to beat the Chiefs. Granted, they won them in the Super Bowl, so they got the last laugh. But still, they beat the Chiefs. Like I said, Antonio Pierce went 5-4. The team went 8-9, and with this win, it kept their playoff hopes alive. Because they probably were thinking this loss to the Chiefs would have probably ended their season, but the Raiders still had a chance. Funny thing is about chances is that sometimes, if you're not focused, they slip through your fingers. And sometimes there was chances that they probably did. Because a few weeks earlier, week 14 versus Minnesota, your worst game. 3-0. I criticized the Chargers, rightfully so, I believe. And I believe Charger fans would agree. A 6-0 victory does not scream confidence for the future. It screams, oh dear Lord, we are in much deeper cow dung than we thought we were. 3-0. Last time I saw a 3-0 game in a football sense was NFL Europe. Frankfurt Galaxy's lost to the Rain of Fire, and the field goal was scored on the opening drive of the Rain of Fire's game, and it was 3-0 the entire game. NFL Europe back in probably the early 2000s. 3-0. ESPN wrote an article that speaks well. Lowest scoring NFL game in 16 years. There are children growing up on football that has never seen that. Never seen that. Aiden O'Connell had 171 yards passing, and Nate Mullins had 84 yards passing. Both barely just eclipsed 200 yards of offense. Time isn't roughly the same, but when you have Devontae Adams, T.J. Hawkinson, Josh Jacobs, Mathis, you would think that there's enough offensive power here to do something, right? Right? There was enough offensive potential to do something. And the thing is that field goal was scored towards the end of the game. It wasn't like it was scored in the third quarter or the second quarter, even the first quarter, to just hold on to it. It was scored, and I mean, it was 0-0-0-0. These are grown men, these prime athletes of mankind, getting paid millions of dollars, and a 3-0 game. And for the life of me, I'm just thinking, well, these are probably the top 2 defenses in the NFL, and that's what happened. Wrong! Not even close. There is no narrative you can spin this for the winner, the Vikings, or the loser, the Raiders, that you can't help but feel like, well, in hindsight, Raider fans, we did not give up a single touchdown. Vikings, you did not give up a touchdown. And then you both look at the offense and be like, you guys didn't do anything. You guys didn't do squat. We kicked the field goal. Good for you. You kicked the field goal. Good for you. These both teams play in domes. You would think they'll be comfortable moving the ball down the field in a controlled atmosphere environment. And they struggled. So, Viking fans, you got the win, but I'm still giving you lots of cons in this pro-con chart of, you won the game. Are you happy with that? And the Raiders, really, you couldn't find a way to win? Because this could have been one of those, what if you guys would have won? Maybe you guys would have snuck into the playoffs in the last second instead of the Steelers. Maybe this was the game that you guys just needed to sneak in to save yourself. Maybe. MVP for the Raiders. I'm doing it again. I'm giving it to Antonio Pierce, interim head coach. He got the head coaching job he rightfully deserves. He was 5-4 as a head coach. Not only that, he instilled confidence. He instilled excitement, motivation. That's why I like about Campbell and Detroit is that there are some coaches that just spread confidence and charisma, enthusiasm, motivation. And Pierce did it. And when he was pretending to be not really taken serious at the head coaching job, it caused some player like Max Crosby to get really, really pissed off, and rightfully so. Stephen Wilkins, in Carolina, people thought that he should have been the head coach after the whole Matt Rule thing, and they didn't really give him that full chance and gave it to Wright, who wasn't even there a whole season. He was gone too. But at least when that Wilkins did, they fought for him. They liked him, and sometimes now that can be a double-sided sword, where he instills it, and then Romeo Crennel is a great defensive-minded coach, but there have been multiple times where he becomes the intern head coach of a team, he becomes the head coach, and then within 2 or 3 years he's gone. So sometime it backfired, and this whole Antonio Pierce thing could backfire. It could. Josh Jacobs no longer with the Raiders, so there goes one of your main key offensive weapons. Devontae Adams, I don't know what he's feeling right now. I know he's a great receiver, but there's a part of me where I kind of felt like he was hoping that Derek Carr would still be around, so therefore they could still develop that chemistry back they were when in Fresno State. So there's a lot of ifs. The Raiders' defense, probably the big focal point. Antonio Pierce, defensive-minded coach. Another former player turned head coach. I think that's 3 of us right now, with Ryan in Houston and Romeo in New England. So there's some hope, and it gives more opportunities for players getting a chance to become head coaches in the NFL and not just in college like some of them do, and to see that these are players that a lot of us probably witnessed them as players in their prime, retire, go through the coaching cycle, and then come right back around, and now they're head coaches in the NFL. That to me is wonderful to see, especially for those who actually saw their careers go all the way around, from drafting to player to season to after football, and then back to coaching, and now eventually head coach in the NFL. Not college, NFL. That I have to emphasize why. Grade for the Raiders. Look at my notes here. B-. I think it's a B-. I think it could have been worse, but when McDaniels got fired, and then Pierce came in the last 9 games of the season, pretty much the atmosphere, the confidence, the players, the better play. Yes, there were some losses that were really bad. 3-0 is nothing to be like about. But there was still so much positivity towards the end of it. They beat the Chiefs in a very, like I said, defensive, only scored. The offense didn't really do anything but not score up, and the Chiefs couldn't do it. Then I just can't help but feel like it's a B minus. It's a low B, but I cannot give them a C because they were so close to making the playoffs when the season was already lost that they fired their head coach, and now Pierce. So there's so much positives in a bad season that I feel like this is a team that their record does not showcase what they did. And they had a rookie quarterback who was brought in pretty much as like, we're going to put you in because Jimmy Garoppolo looks like to be a bad investment, and that pretty much the story. And what they're going to do with the draft, what they're going to do with free agency, I don't know. So we'll see what they'll do with quarterback, whether they draft a quarterback, trust one of these veterans from free agency to come in. We'll see. But right now, I say they're a B minus team. And that's the Raiders. So we're down to 2 teams left, the Broncos and the Chiefs, and like I said, Chiefs are last. So next video, we'll be talking about the Denver Broncos as they have sliced Russell Wilson off the roster, and Sean Payton has full control, and he is looking for a potential replacement at quarterback of his choosing. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.